decided, oh, I just want to add this and I just want to add that, just in case, just in case, just in case. And suddenly your suitcase is so full of way more stuff than you will ever need on a trip. When you go sailing, that's not a great option because everything extra that you bring will just get in your way. And it's not just true for travel, it's also true for life. So whether you're at the beginning of a new day or you're joining us on the first day of the new year 2026, this is an episode to talk about a trick for moving forward isn't adding more, but learning how to pack lighter, practically speaking and metaphorically. Well, welcome to What Could Go Right.
Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast. We are your hosts, Eric Orton.
And I'm Emily Orton.
And here we talk about personal growth and sailing. In 2014, we moved aboard a fixer-upper sailboat and bootstrapped a year sailing with our 5 kids, and it changed our lives forever.
We tell the whole story in our memoir, our book, 7 at Sea. On this podcast, we want to help you go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time. Welcome back to WCGR, What Could Go Right?
The What Could Go Right radio station. Welcome to WCGR. We're here playing all our greatest hits.
I'm Emily Orton.
And I'm Eric Orton.
And we're talking about what to pack for your journey, the journey that you're on right now, and maybe considering what you might want to leave behind. Because whether you are getting ready for a sailing trip or a new chapter of life, it's really easy to overpack physically, emotionally, and mentally. So we want to share some stories from the water, including how I, Emily, overpacked for our last trip, and then some trips that surprised us and how we were able to navigate along the way.
I have so many examples of this.
Okay.
And some of them are very recent.
Okay, well, I want to, I know I started out, but I'll just share my very first example because I think, my goodness, we have been nomadic for...
Sorry, I dropped my phone.
We have been nomadic for 11 years, or like we have been traveling at high volume for the past 11 years. And we just took a trip to, with a bunch of clients out to Mexico, and it was incredible. And one of the things that really surprised me is that even so, I overpacked. And
This is a judgment-free zone.
Yeah, but I did it. I just thought like, oh, I should know by now. I tried it like, oh, I can reuse this. I'm happy to wear the same pair of shorts every single day, or, you know, I feel good about being ready for the weather because you never know if it's gonna rain, or maybe I stay in the water too long and my blood temperature goes down, and I know about myself I'll need something cozy to help me warm back up. So I brought 4 shirts that I never used, a pair of pants that I never used, a jacket that I was happy I brought in case, but I did not use it. And I thought, wow, I could have packed even less on this trip, traveled lighter, and the space that we had was actually pretty small, so it would have been nice if I brought less.
I need to go on record right now. On a handful of trips, I have packed a wetsuit, sometimes a full-length wetsuit. This time I packed a shorty. I have never, ever used it on any trip. So I'm going to commit right now in front of all of you. I am not ever packing a wetsuit again, unless I'm going to the Arctic Circle or something, which we're doing a trip to Norway, and I might take one on that one. That'll be my one caveat. But anything else, I'm not bringing a wetsuit because I've packed it too many times and I've never used it.
That sounds awesome. Okay, you said you had a lot of things come to mind when we talked about packing. I don't know if you're speaking practically or in a life lessons sense.
Both. First of all, I thought of the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy. Do you remember this movie? If you haven't seen it, it's a delightful movie from the
old days when we were
late
young.
80s, early 90s. So there you go. But if you watch it, it's set in Africa, and I think a bottle drops out of the sky, like some bush pilot just throws it out the window of his airplane, and it lands, and this guy who's like a hunter-gatherer tribe finds this glass bottle, and it sort of sets off all this fun philosophical adventure. And all I remember is that, and it's probably been 30 years, 40 years since I've seen this film. Maybe not 40. Anyway, 30. So this nomadic African tribes comes in contact with sort of a Western civilized caravan. You know, I can't remember if they were like a hunting party or what, but the phrase that this guy described, that the tribesman used, he says, "Why so much cargo?" And he's looking at all the trunks of equipment and gear, you know, furniture, dishes, guns, whatever they have.
Clothing. Yeah.
You know, and they're just walking around barefoot in loincloths with a little bow and arrow, and they just survive off of what they hunt, what they gather. And they're very happy. They sing, but so much cargo. Sometimes I think we just overpack not only our suitcases, but our lives. And that phrase seems to encapsulate it for me. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah, sometimes we overpack not only our suitcases, but our lives. Yeah.
Zing.
I think that's really something.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Something to take about and to think about, or to take away and to consider going into this new year, like how much nicer it is when you're not overpacked and when you have what you need for the journey that you're on right now. So the first point is you cannot bring everything. I know when Eric goes rock climbing, there's a couple of different kinds of ways that it happens. When we go together, we might just bring a harness and rope and a snack or a water bottle. But when he goes to do longer climbs and he has to put his bed and all his food and water and everything for the multi-day climb into one bag, he has to haul that up the cliff as well. It makes me think of that too. Like, you are very mindful either when rock climbing or sailing of like, what am I bringing? Because I'm going to have to carry it with me. So when you overpack on a rock climbing trip, that adds so much strain and slows you down. When you overpack on a boat, it takes up your space. It makes it hard to get to things because they have to stack or be crammed in, and you forget what you have. It adds to your stress. You can't just reach what you need right when you need it. I know for me that's a large reason partly why I didn't use those other shirts. They were just like hard to get to, and second, because what I needed was a sun cover every single day. And that's what I wore every single day on this particular trip. If we had been going somewhere else, I would have used them. So it's really, you can't bring everything, and bringing too much actually becomes a drain. So how does this mirror kind of the way that we overfill our lives and our commitments and our shoulds and our goals?
Can I tell my
Yeah.
packing experience from this past weekend? So I did a rock climbing trip down to Zion National Park, and I was doing what is referred to as a big wall, where you take more than one day, Anyway, I'm just going to say if you do it over more than one day, it's usually considered a big wall.
To sleep on the cliff.
So, yeah, we have these things called haul bags. It's exactly what they do. You put everything into them: water, food, clothing, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, first aid gear, a little stove if you want to cook something. Everything, extra climbing gear, everything goes into this bag. And in some ways, I was overpacked. In a couple of very important ways, I was underpacked. And I'll start with, what do you want to hear about first? Overpacked or underpacked?
I'll hear overpacked so we can finish with underpacked, because I'm surprised.
Okay, overpacking. I checked the weather, and it was going to be high of 65. So I was like, okay, lows in the 40s overnight. I'll bring a puffy jacket and a sweater and a beanie and a sleeping bag and my favorite little sleeping booties that are like
Down.
slippers but have a down feather lining. And I used all of that except for I brought a wool sweater I didn't need. It wasn't nearly as cold as I thought at night, and it got hot during the day. When we were on the cliff and we were in direct sun, it was really hot, and I actually wished that I had some short sleeve shirt. So I overpacked clothes. And almost all the snacks that I took, I brought back. Because I know that when I'm out there, I'm exerting my body to the max. And ironically, when I really need to be consuming a lot of calories, my stomach shrinks. I don't really want to drink a lot of water or eat a lot of food. I know that I need to, especially water, but I brought back probably at least half of the food that I took, all the snacks. And so I was overpacked in clothing and food, but everything else, it was pretty good. So that's the overpacking. You wanted to hear about underpacking?
Yeah.
This route has been climbed enough times and at sandstone that some of the holds have been worn away and the rock has deteriorated, which is unfortunate. But I specifically left certain kinds of gear at home because this is not the kind of rock or the kind of route where you want to hammer anything into it. You don't want to, it's very easy to damage sandstone. And so if you've ever heard of a piton or anything like that, there are these metal spikes that you can drive into a crack and you can use it to move yourself up. And then when you're done, you remove it. And yes, over time it damages any kind of rock, even granite, but sandstone, it just does it so quickly. So I left all of my, what we call iron or steel, left it all at home. Didn't bring my hammer. And I was underprepared in this regard. I think that even though I didn't have to necessarily hammer things into the rock we didn't finish the climb. I guess that's the point, because we didn't have the right gear. We got about 65% of the way up and had to turn around. And if I had brought some of this gear, I wouldn't have to really hammer it in. I could literally just slot it into certain places, like finger tight, and it would have served the purpose, but I didn't have it with me. And it would have been very small. It was a very small item to pack, and it would have, it's heavy because it's metal, but it's very small, and it wouldn't have been, I easily would have traded all the extra food for those few pieces of gear. That would have made such a difference. And I think I could have done it without doing harm to the rock, but that's just an example of overpacking in one area, and in this case, underpacking in another area.
To be fair, the information you had made it seem like you had what you needed for this climb.
That's true.
And the information needs to be updated. So sometimes that does happen, and that's why we worry, and that's why we pack so much. But I'm thinking about this question, like, how do you decide what's essential versus what is extra for where you are right now? And one idea that I have about that is whatever lasts the longest matters most. And so as I get older and older, I still love to make new friends. And I also really want to prioritize my longtime friendships, my family relationships, and just people that I have a real affinity with. That's just one example of things that last the longest, things that I think are going to last the longest. Do you have any thoughts on how to decide between what's essential versus what's extra when you know you can't bring everything?
I guess the one thought that I have is don't go crazy. And what I mean by that is some people will think of every possible scenario and they'll want to be prepared for every scenario, which is not possible. And so, you're packing for your trip, like, well, we're out sailing, and what if we meet some really wealthy, powerful, influential people, and they invite us onto their mega yacht? I should probably bring my tuxedo just in case that happens. What could it hurt? And so that, and you start to think, I think we had that when we were going to live on a sailboat, and I think the best example was, we're going to be homeschooling our kids, we're going to be out in the ocean, we're going to be looking at, sea life, blah, blah, blah. And we
need a microscope.
We need a microscope. This trip will not be a success without a microscope. And maybe, I don't know.
Like a really good one.
An expensive, large,
a really good
heavy
microscope that we can then hook to our computer and everyone can see what's under the microscope. And
do you want to share that? I mean, I'm happy to.
Go ahead.
So here's my understanding of it is, you were looking to homeschool and wanted to give our kids the best possible experience. And so you found this really great microscope online, and it was expensive and heavy and large, and
used by other families homeschooling on their boat.
correct. So there was precedent, but we reached out to our mentors, Jamie and B and Gifford on Totem, and asked them, because do they have one?
Yeah, they had the microscope on.
They had said microscope, and you said,
like, how
what
much do you use this?
And she said, mostly we use it as a stool.
Extra seating.
For extra seating. And we're like, okay, all right, enough said. If we really need one, we can probably pick up one from another boat that's trying to get rid of it, because they never use it either. And so we decided to not spend the money, and we didn't have to ship it. We didn't have to account for it in any way. And it was still a success.
Yeah, we saved $800 together.
I was going to say 800. I was like, I think the number is 800, but I don't want to say it out of turn.
Okay, so this question might actually be kind of hard to answer, just like in a vacuum, like don't pack everything. One of the ways that's going to help you pack with a purpose and create the limits that give you freedom is to know where you're going. So what you pack is going to depend on where you're going. If it's a trip, if you're going sailing, it's going to be like, what is the weather like? Are we going to be going to shore a lot? Are there going to be people in restaurants, or is it going to be like just national parks and wilderness? What kind of activities am I going to be engaging in during this trip? And that will really help you decide, what's essential and what is extra. And then in your life, that also really makes a difference when you have decided, like, these are my priorities right now, or like, I no longer care what these people think. I care about what these people think, or what I'm just, being very vague, so you can insert any any destination you have in mind. But for example, for health, I have listened to all kinds of voices over the years, and now I'm really listening to my doctor. She recommended a specific book. That is the direction I'm going to go. She recommended a specific nutritionist. I'm following that person's advice. I'm not going to take on board just counsel from every different source. I'm really limiting it, and that gives me the freedom to actually give it a try. Doing what the doctor says is going to be the most healthy for me, and that will actually save me a lot of time, because I listen to and read a lot of books about that area. So that's just one example.
I can vouch for that.
And I feel that way too about who I follow on social media. I think, is this person going the same direction that I want to go? Do they have the same kind of, basically that. They want to go to the same direction that I want to go. If not, I don't really want to follow them, because I don't want to go that way. I'm going a different direction.
I'm going to call us out on this right here, because I feel like, we need to be selective about the kind of stuff that we take into our mind, into our eyeballs, into our ears, into our mouth, all that sort of stuff. And so if you're listening to this and we're not helping you get where you want to go, you should stop listening to us.
Yeah.
If you're going somewhere else and we're not being helpful to you, unsubscribe. Stop listening to us. Or if we are, then, let's hang out. Let's keep going, because we're not for everybody. You're not for everybody. But we all need to ultimately decide where we're going. And then, like you said, pack accordingly.
Where we're going is we are on a journey always of moving from fear to freedom. We have a growth mindset. We want to encourage ourselves and you to be a little bolder and set your aspirations a little higher, but being in a really intentional way and recognizing how much you're really capable of. But you're just not capable of doing everything all the time. And so you have to decide. And we talk a lot about sailing. It's been a great way for us to be on a journey of discovery individually and as a family. And we love using that metaphor, and we love taking these trips with you. But yeah, that if like growth is not what you're after, and you're tired of hearing about these beautiful tropical trips, and you never want to go on a sailboat, and you never want to grow, definitely stop
Stop
listening to
listening.
us.
Stop now.
Because we're always trying new stuff and changing things up and encouraging you to reflect and consider whether that's good for you.
Can I tell you, in this vein of packing, not overpacking, I think I've never done this, but I think it's a challenge that I would like to take for myself. And I don't know when I'll have the guts to do it, but I want to get on a flight somewhere, literally with just myself and my passport and I mean, it doesn't have to be just me, but I mean, like pack nothing.
Oh, uh-huh.
Like just take what I'm wearing, my wallet, my passport, and maybe
A phone charger.
a windbreaker, or like a phone, like a USB charge cable.
Man, I would dare you to go anywhere without your laptop.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, like maybe one backpack with but like
10-liter bag.
no clothes, no change of shoes, and just trust that I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And actually, you brought up before we hit record. We didn't do this exact thing, but I think you brought up an interesting example.
Okay,
but
that's the next point. Yeah.
So before we go there, I'll just
okay.
say the idea of just saying trusting that, and it's not about trying to say, oh, I have enough money, I can just buy whatever I need wherever I go, but just saying like, I trust that when I get there, I'll find what I need. It will emerge. I don't need to stress or worry about forgetting something, because whenever I forget something, unless I'm on, a cliff in Zion or something, I can usually pick it up. Like
Yeah.
if I'm close to civilization, even there, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't find my this or that. I went and I bought one the night before
Yeah.
and
That's true.
replaced it.
So we first said you can't bring everything, and what you need to bring is going to depend on where you're going, like what matters to you right now, where are you headed. And this third point that you're bringing up is you can always re-provision. In our family, we stayed with some friends in New Zealand, and I actually will tell that story in a second, but one of the little boys would always want something, and he would just tell his mom, let's pick some up. They lived pretty close to a grocery store, and so he was growing up with the mindset of like, whatever we don't have, we can always pick some up. And so we like to say that at our house. We're like, oh, pick some up. We now live close to a grocery store as well. But do you want to tell this story of our trip to New Zealand?
Okay, yeah. So we were house sitting in Hawaii, loving it, but it was also coming to an end. And we had some dear friends that had moved to New Zealand who had always wanted us to come see them. And we've always wanted to go to New Zealand because we've heard great things about the country and the nature, and we love these friends. And so we were in Hawaii. We had bought one-way tickets to get there. And so we didn't have an exact...
To get to New Zealand.
We had one-way tickets to Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I understand.
So we're big. First of all, we're big fans of one-way tickets. Buy a one-way ticket and then see how it unfolds. That's another dare. I dare you to buy a one-way ticket and then just see how long you end up staying there, trusting that you can find a place to stay and food to eat and all that sort of stuff. So we had one-way tickets to Hawaii. We were wrapping up with our home sit. It was time to leave. We reached out to our friends and we said, hey, we're thinking of coming. And we landed a home sitting gig, or it actually was a farm sitting gig in New Zealand, where we were going to take care of this farm while the farmers went on vacation, because it was heading into winter there and they wanted to go somewhere nice. Mm-hmm. And we were in Hawaii, so we obviously wanted to go somewhere lousy.
No, it wasn't.
Just kidding.
It was just a change of weather, yeah.
No. So we were heading to, we bought one-way tickets to New Zealand, not knowing how long we would stay. And we had packed for Hawaii.
Yeah, we thought we were coming back from Hawaii.
So we had swimsuits, shorts, t-shirts. We were dressed for Hawaii weather.
Summer.
And then we got on a plane and we flew to New Zealand. And because we're going to the southern hemisphere, we were going from summer into winter. We got there in July.
Yeah,
we got there in July, which is obviously summer in the northern hemisphere, and it's winter heading into spring in the southern hemisphere. So July, August, September is kind of like the deep end of winter, and then September is really late August, early September is the beginning of spring. Mm-hmm. And so we got there, and it was...
Maybe we got there in June. We were definitely there for July. Yeah.
You know what? You're right.
We were there for 100 days.
Okay, so it was June, July, August, and then a tad of September. Mm-hmm. So we were there for the entirety of the winter and a little bit of spring. And we were not packed for winter. We were packed for spring. And
For
so,
summer.
or sorry, yeah, we were packed for summer. And so we, first of all, we didn't know how long we were going to be there, but we thought we were going to stay a long time. And so on day 2, we said, let's buy a car. And we had not packed a car.
We did not pack a car.
So we went on, what's their website called? It's,
Trade Me or something
Trade
like
Me,
that.
TradeMe.nz, I think. TradeMe.nz, which is like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. And we looked for a cheap minivan. And we figured if we're here for a month and we rent a car for a month, what will that cost? And we found a used minivan close by. We flew into Christchurch, New Zealand, on the South Island. And we found a used minivan for, I think it was 1,200 New Zealand dollars, which was about $1,000 US. We're like, okay, this is going to be a wash. Like whether we have, like we can buy this car or we can rent a car, and
It'd be way cheaper to buy the car than to rent a car.
And we found out that, we're like, and then a lot of people would say like, oh, but how do you insure it? Well, it turns out we were able to insure it for about
14
$20 a month.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, all right. And then we drove it, and it was not perfect.
The windows would not roll up and down, but we didn't care because it was winter and we wanted to keep the windows up.
Yeah. And it had a little glitch in the transmission. We knew all the faults with it, but we had a car, and we could unlimited mileage as long as it kept running. So that was the first thing that we bought when we got there. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't have the right clothing, and so we went to what they call an op shop, short for opportunity shopping, which in the U.S. and Canada we would probably call a thrift store. Mm-hmm. So we went to a thrift store, and we just said, well, we need warm clothes. And I bought like this pullover, kind of like fuzzy lined hoodie, and you bought like a red puffy coat.
Puffy red jacket. I love that jacket. We bought something for everybody. Got like warm clothes.
Yeah, and we couldn't find gloves.
We bought gloves new.
We bought gloves at the Walmart of or Target.
New Zealand.
Yeah, they were pretty. Everything was affordable. We bought some beanies
and sweatpants.
Oh yeah, I bought a sweatpants, which I still use. I literally wore them on this rock climbing trip that I'm telling you about. The ones that I bought sweatpants in New Zealand because the pockets zip up.
Zip up, yeah.
And, anyway, and so we just bought what we needed when we got there, and it didn't break the bank. It was probably cheaper than checking
luggage.
A bag.
Yeah.
Like if you had to pay for a checked bag, we got the clothing that we needed for less than the price of a checked bag. Mm-hmm. Because we went to a thrift store, and we had a car, and we ended and $1,000 on a car, which we ended up staying for 100 days, so 3.5 months. If we'd had a rental car, we would have felt very limited in how long we could stay because we have this expense that was sort of eating us. But because we bought this car, we thought we'd be able to sell it at the end for maybe half of what we bought it for, or something like that. People were offering us like $150, $200. We were like, forget it. We just gave it to our friends and we're like, drive it till it drops, or maybe we'll come back, and if we come back, let us use it.
Yeah.
And that was a real feel good. So that was an example of getting out there and just, we were not overpacked for New Zealand.
We did not overpack for New Zealand. That is so true. And it felt great. And just, hey, this is what I need for now. And actually loved that red puffy jacket. Wish I still had it.
I agree.
And then one of the kids, well, we'll just say Lily borrowed it and lost it. Lily. So you can't bring everything. What you need depends on where you're going. So you have to know where you're going to be intentional about what you want to keep with you, what habits, practices, relationships, mindset, whatever that might be. And just remember that you can always reprovision. When you get new information along the way, or if you change course, there's going to be a way forward, and you don't have had to thought of it before you got there. You can figure it out along the way.
Can I connect this to sailing trips real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
I think we've gotten better at this. We used to have a lot of stress about having everything we needed before we left the dock, especially in the food department.
On the sailing trips that we do now.
Yeah. And I think we've gotten to a place where we say, you know what? Especially on the trips that we do in Europe where they're a couple days longer, and you don't want the same lettuce on day 5 that you bought on day 1. Mm-hmm. And plus it's fun to go into town and shop for something that you might need, or discover along the way that you're like, oh, there's a local soda and I really like it, so let's get more of that. And I would just say, learning to when we're sailing in places that have stores along the way, which is most of them, just saying we're going to pick up a little bit more of what we need here or there along the way. We don't have to stress about having everything aboard before we cast off on day one.
It's actually a really fun part of the journey, and it's nice to know that along the way you're going to be able to say, this group actually just loves doing eggs for breakfast, so we went through all the eggs, and now we're doing this kind of local experience where we're not just shopping in, for a local t-shirt or, a keychain to take back to somebody. We're going to buy eggs or tomatoes, just like the people who live here, and this is the experience that they have when they go buy these basics.
Mm-hmm.
It's really true. We just finished a trip where no chances to resupply during
no stores at all in Mexico where we go sailing
in the national parks, and so on those I do feel really good about padding the groceries a little bit, like have a little extra eggs, extra bread, extra sandwich meat, extra produce, just wanting to make sure that on those trips I always want to have leftovers when we leave. I don't want anybody getting nervous that we're going to run out of food partway through or anything like that. So again, that's just an example of what you need depends on where you're going, and it's so fun to actually not carry too much, stop along the way. And I know for me, I always love getting those little grocery bags and bringing them home, like, oh, I got this one in the Bahamas, or I got this one in Greece, or it's for me the perfect little souvenir.
Can I share one? This might be a zinger.
Yeah.
But I feel like also I've learned that if I overpack in terms of expectations, then I can really lock myself in. And what's the phrase? Expectation or comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, and expectations is just building resentment. Yeah.
Expectations are resentment under construction.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of times people scratch their heads a little bit when they're like, so what's the itinerary for the trip? And I'd say, we're going to figure it out when we get there.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm like, it's not as loose as it sounds. But, it's not like we're a cruise ship where, like, day one we're going to be in San Diego, and the day two we're going to be in Ensenada, and day three we're going to be in Cabo, and day four we're going to be in La Paz, and day five we're going to be in Loreto, and blah, and just like, it's not how it, and then, here are the restaurants where you can eat, and here are the excursions that you can book. We don't do it that way. First of all, I've found some of my favorite places, and if you go back and listen to our episode where I talk about our trip to Italy, how some of the guys that I met with and talked with on the dock gave us the best recommendations, and because we weren't locked into a specific itinerary, we went to places that I never would have thought of, that I never would have imagined, and that were some of the highlights of the trip. And so I think coming and having some plan, we always have a plan and a structure for the week. We don't just completely wing it, but we have to factor in weather for that week. We want to factor in what's going on in the country that week. Like sometimes there's a holiday and things are going to be closed, or
parties are going to be happening on shore.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in Italy and Croatia and some of the unexpected gems of experiences that come up that we never could have planned. And so I think having a plan but holding it lightly and being open to it changing, to evolving, and maybe just kind of, have some expectations, but like I say, just don't hold them too tightly.
Yeah, that I would say the best expectations to have are expect that everybody will like you and that you will like them. Expect that whatever comes up, you will figure it out. But yeah, these trips are a really beautiful balance of structure and flexibility, because you say, we're going to be in these locations for these days, but you're just going to relax, and we're going to playfully discover this together based on the parameters of right now, and that's what's going to make your trip unique.
I would say prepare to be surprised.
Yes, prepare to be surprised. I love that. So whether you're entering into a brand new day or a brand new year, prepare to be surprised. And we do that by always asking,
what could go right? Hey everyone, before we sign off today, this is Eric Orton, and I just want to give you the sailing update. A few weeks ago, we put out our schedule for the whole year. all of 2026. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of trips that are coming up that I think are really worth remembering. We are going to be spending the winter in the British Virgin Islands, the BVI. So we're going to do a trip early January, late January, and February. And I love the BVI, and I'm going to tell you why. It is easy to get to. The sailing is world class. There's fantastic snorkeling. It's sunny at a time of year when, wherever you are in the world, January and February, chances are it's a little bit cold, a little bit gloomy. This is the perfect getaway for midwinter. So January 5th through the 10th, we're going to be in the BVI. We'll be there again January 26th through the 31st, and then again February 16th through the 21st. Another thing is these will be our lowest price trips of the year. After these trips, prices jump to our new season setting. So if you want to get the best bang for your buck, BVI January 5 through 10, 26 through 31, or February 16 through 21. If you're feeling spendy, March, we are going to French Polynesia. We're going to do a one-way sail from Raiatea to Bora Bora. Bora Bora is gorgeous. The last time we were there was, I want to say, 2017. So we don't go very often. It's almost double the cost of our other trips. If you can afford it, it's super worth it. And it's beautiful. Imagine just like the biggest expanses of turquoise water and incredible sea life and fun restaurants and beautiful scenery. So if you want to go to French Polynesia in March, we're going to be there March 8th through the 14th. If not, if that's a little bit out of your range, which I totally get, our January and February trips to the BVI are going to be your best deal for the year. So click the button or just go to the Awesome Factory /.ny for the Awesome Factory / sorry, let me get this right. The Awesome Factory .nyc /sailing. That'll take you to the page that explains everything. Let's hop on a call, or you can email us at hello@theawesomefactory.nyc. Would love to sail with you in Q1 of next year. There's a couple of spots left on each of the BVI trips, so would love to welcome you aboard, and whether there or Bora Bora, either way, it'd be fun to sail together. Before we wrap up entirely, people go sailing with us, and I want you to hear from them directly what kind of experience they have. So here's a sailing takeaway from somebody who's gone sailing with us recently. All right, go ahead.
Apprehensive. Water. I don't swim.
For anyone listening, Glenda doesn't know how to swim yet.
Yet. Water was what I was most apprehensive about. And everybody here, but especially Eric, made me feel safe and secure and loaded me up with things I needed to make the journey into the water a little bit easier. And I think that was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. My takeaway, I have to agree. If this was a more meaningful trip, a more spiritual trip, than I've taken in a long, long time. And I really think that that's the takeaway from here. You get out of it what you need to get out of it. And it's different for everybody, but it was a very spiritual experience for me. I would highly recommend it, whether you can swim or not. Somebody will help you get off the boat and back on the boat, and you can learn as much as you want to about sailing if that's something that's important to you. But again, if you're looking for something meaningful and something that is an experience you won't forget, this is the trip. This is the trip.